What up? Welcome back. Episode 6, 2023-2024 season recap. Jump right in. Draft lottery. Suns, Cavs, Nets, Pacers, and Pelicans owning the Lakers pick are the top 5 odds. But Houston is also sending theirs out to Minnesota by way of the Robert Covington deal, which was done previous couple seasons. It'll be the second time in 3 years that the Rockets won't own their own pick. The lottery itself, though, pretty straightforward. Number 2, Cavs jump up to number 1. The Nets go number 2. The Suns fall down to 3. Wizards at 4. Pacers at 5. The Wizards jump up from 9. That's really the only notable movement on here. As we look out to land Jason Sanders. Again, this is year 2 of our fictional draft classes, so again, a thank you and a shout out to the folks over in the Operation Sports forums for all the content that they've created. Top pick is expected to be Jason Sanders, and the Suns were really looking forward to trying to potentially get him. He's an Arizona State graduate or 1-year attendee. He's from Phoenix. It would fit right in with that homegrown group that they're trying to build over there. Instead, he's likely to head to Cleveland, but he's a two-way forward that's just expected to be a dominant force now and into the future of the NBA. He's not the only one that's worth kind of keeping an eye on. Sidney Cross is a good guard out of Duke. Javon Shumpert, a talented defensive guard as well. And Jace Redding is expected to be a really good two-way wing himself. Notable picks, Jason Sanders does indeed go number 1 to the Cavs. He's going to set himself up to be the face and the savior of the franchise in the post-LeBron era. Sidney Cross goes number 2 to Brooklyn, trying to establish themselves there with the post-Kyrie KD era. Javon Shumpert joining Devin Booker in Phoenix to be the starting point guard. Jace Redding is headed to Indiana at number 5. Dusan Svekovic, he heads to New Orleans, and Svekovic isn't going to be a superstar, but he ends up becoming a pretty good role player and involved in one of the more monumental trades of this era. Jaheim Briggs, a good guard out of Marquette, goes number 7. And R.J. Wallace, he is, let's call him the second coming of Draymond Green. He's a phenomenal defensive big man. Little undersized, but he ends up going number 8 overall to Sacramento. And we mentioned the Reed brothers in episode 5. Franklin Reed, the younger brother to Memphis Reed. He goes number 23 to Milwaukee. Franklin, he's not going to be a superstar. He's a great glue guy. He's a little bit worse than Memphis, but he's a talented piece. He ends up getting some money and later on in his career with some big signings, but he's just going to become a really good starting caliber guard, if not a 6th man. All right, let's jump to the the offseason first. Some notable signings. LeBron James says, I'm not going anywhere. He's going to sign and return to Los Angeles. Nikola Jokic returning to Denver. Clint Capella leaves Portland. That was, remember, part of that two-headed monster they had. He heads and signs in Brooklyn. Miles Turner returns to Golden State, and Andrew Wiggins returns to Indiana. Those were the 2 guys that got swapped the summer before. Some retirements: Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Dwight Howard headline their retirements. All 3 get their numbers retired. Paul in Los Angeles, Kyle Lowry in Toronto, and Dwight Howard in Orlando. All right, let's move on to the regular season. Some notable moves. Phoenix and Minnesota. Devin Booker tired of the rebuild. They just added Javon Shumpert. They haven't really shown any signs of development there, and he's moving on. He's going to be traded from Phoenix to Minnesota to team up with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. Of course, Cat, he's close friends with. Minnesota receives Booker, Raul Acey, and Admiral Schofield. Really, Raul Acey and Schofield, not elite players by any stretch. Meanwhile, Phoenix gets Jarrett Culver, Denny Avdia, Jeremy Lamb, and a 2025 first with top 3 protections. Why such a low comeback? Devin Booker's on an expiring. He's just not really looking to stick around there. Denver and Washington, the second big headliner. It's Bradley Beal on the move. He heads to Denver. Denver sees Beal and Kofi Toupane. Kofi's a good big man, 7 foot. He's known for his massive afro. Role player. He'll end up actually getting a couple rings in his future, but he's not an elite guy by any stretch, but he's a good backup center. He'll bounce around, kind of a JaVale McGee-like guy. Washington, meanwhile, receives Buddy Hield, Gary Harris, an unprotected first in 24 and a second in 2025. Of course, 2023, Bradley Beal nearing the end of his existing contract at the time. Charlotte and Orlando will also make a swap. Nikola Jokic headed from Orlando to Charlotte. Charlotte trying to shore up the back line behind James Wiseman, and they're trying to do that there. Eric Pascal, he's moved to Orlando. He's part of that Jonathan Kuminga deal, so not really turning out so great for Charlotte on that Kuminga swap there back in, 21. All right, regular season itself, we talked about the trade deadline. It would end the career of LeBron James. He's going to retire at the end of the season. They end with 39 wins. They missed the playoffs again. It's a very subdued departure from NBA, from King James. Utah, though, they get the best record in the NBA with 60. Heat go 58. They're trying to get back to the finals for the third straight time. Milwaukee's starting to struggle, and this is beginning to be a troublesome moment as Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to have his contract end at the end of this next season. They win 40 games. They missed the playoffs, and the Hawks win 50 games 1 year after making the Eastern Finals. All right, your awards, Donovan Mitchell. He's going to end up as your NBA MVP. He dominates there. Giannis gets another depoy. LeBron James on his way out. Let's just add one more piece of hardware. He gets six-man. Ja and Jason Sanders round out your award winners. As far as All-NBA goes, no real surprises here. Again, just considering the names you should be familiar with. These are all the names that are currently relevant. Curry getting a third-team All-NBA nod in the season 23-24. Jokic Nurkic getting a surprising one for Portland as a third-team All-NBA nod, but this is still a very stringent NBA where the center has to be on the All-NBA ballot. That'll change in the coming seasons. Zion continues to dominate. He gets a first-team nod. All right, move to the playoffs. And boy, was it a exciting one. Pelicans again struggle. They miss out on advancing again. They lose in the first round. They're upset by the 6-seeded Thunder. That's Cade Cunningham, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Dallas loses again in the first round. They have now lost in the first round in 3 of the last 4 years. The 1 year they didn't, they missed the playoffs altogether. Heat and Hawks, they both advanced, so there's a chance for the rematch out of the first round. Of course, we're not going to end up getting it because the Heat are going to fall to the Celtics in the second round, but we're going to get a rematch of the Jazz and the Warriors as they roll through to get to the conference finals. The second round, of course, the Warriors beat the Thunder. That's the beginning of a very budding rivalry. The Warriors will have a couple of them. Portland was short-lived, but Utah and Oklahoma City, beyond the KD era Warriors OKC rivalry, this one it starts to spice up here in the coming seasons. Celtics down the 2-time defending conference champs in 5, but they cannot get through Kyrie. Kyrie takes them down in 5 games. He heads back to the NBA Finals. Kyrie and the Hawks are now 2 years removed from, well, just the Hawks. 9 games 2 seasons ago. Now they're in the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving, I don't know what he's drinking in Atlanta, but he's getting it done. The Warriors, though, they're going to meet up with him. They take down the Jazz in a great 7th game. In 6 games. They go to their 4th straight finals. So now we've got Kyrie, we've got Steph, we got the Warriors, we got Kyrie. Obviously, 2016 looming over everything that the Warriors and Kyrie are kind of associated with. We're going to get them back in the NBA Finals. And it's a doozy. 7-game thriller. The Warriors have to rally back from down 3-2 and win Game 7 on the road. Steph Curry goes nuts in Game 7. He has 40. Anthony Edwards staking his claim as he's got next 56 points in a massive 164-122 win in Game 4. Kyrie, nuts in a back-and-forth series. He has nights of 33, 46, 40 early on in this series. Just absolutely dominant. Meanwhile, Steph, 25, 44, 42. He doesn't get over that 50-point mark this season, but he does eclipse 33 times in the series. Kuminga and Mobley, those are the 2 young bigs that are the wings that Warriors got. They each have some big 20-plus point nights. Actually, Kuminga scored 20-plus in 5 of 7 1 year after Kuminga had the game winner in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So he's really starting to apply some dominance and start to really carve out his future as a potential face of the Warriors franchise. The Warriors, though, they lost game in Klay Thompson. They lost him in Game 1 with a foot injury. He doesn't return until Game 6. He has some solid games, but nothing ever elite. But at the end of the day, it's Steph Curry getting his 4th straight Finals MVP. It's the Warriors getting their 4th straight NBA championship, joining the Celtics as a team to accomplish that. It is a signifying moment for the Warriors that this is arguably the best dynasty of all time. You're going to have your detractors. You're going to have the Bulls argument. You're going to have the C's argument. You're going to have the Lakers argument. But the Warriors are in there. They've now won 6 championships. Nope, 7 championships with the Warriors or with Steph Curry. This is a team that's setting themselves up to be perhaps the best of all time by the year 2024. All right, we're coming back next season or next episode, episode 6 or 7, season 24 to 25.